for those that don't understand what a screen reader is at a sort of high level screen reader 101, maybe you could give kind of a high level overview of or explanation of what a screen reader is and what it does for you.
Yeah. So at a super high level, what a screen reader is it's a piece of software. Sometimes it's built into the device, sometimes it's not, that allows you to interact and operate a device using speech.
A screen reader, in essence, enables you to have the functionality of a cursor and a visual experience through a keyboard experience and utilizing your screen reader. Is that fair?
Yeah, the way I like to describe it is that for somebody who could see and uses the mouse and can see, they experience the web in two dimensions, right? A button might be in the upper right, you might have a skip link in the upper left and a footer in the bottom. For me as a screen reader user, it's one dimensional. What I do with the screen reader is I move forward and backward on the web page, right? And the order is just the way it's ordered out in the code.
But if that website or that document is not designed or developed to be interactive with that device, what does that experience end up being like?
Frustrating, right? And the severity of it can vary. Not all accessibility issues are created equal, and we'll show this in the upcoming demo, but sometimes you might encounter an accessibility issues on a website that are just annoying, right? Other times you might find something that is a complete showstopper and you just cannot move forward, right?
Obviously, the more complex pages get, the more challenging they are from an accessibility perspective, and the more they have to be developed.
So, uh, this is the state of Montana's website. And just want to highlight here, I'm from Montana. I'm from Missoula, Montana. Went to the University of Montana here. Not at all picking on the state of Montana. And so here is me using the state of Montana's website. And I want to show you a couple of examples of accessibility barriers and two really and kind of divergent ends of the spectrum, because again, not all accessibility issues are created equal. My screen reader gives me a lot of different ways that I can navigate around a website, right? And so I can use the H key to jump to headings, L key to jump to lists. I'm going to use the E key in this case to jump to text boxes to edit fields. So by pressing E,
Search montanamt.gov websites edit. Blank.
you heard it
Placeholder.
say
Search mt.gov sites.
search mt.gov sites edit. So I landed on the search box. It told me what the purpose of the search box is. The label read out perfect. Everything is great, right? No real accessibility issue there. And now I'm going to press the down arrow key just to move to the next thing on the page.
mt.gov search button.
mt.gov search button. And I'm going to read it one more time.
mt.gov search button.
mt.gov search button. And so here is an example of something that is technically an accessibility conformance violation, right? There is a redundant label here. The word button is being said twice, right? And so what happened is in the label here, the button label includes the word button when it really shouldn't. The fact that it's a button comes from it being marked up as a button. And so that makes it read out the word button twice. So it's technically a violation, but does it stop me from understanding what this button is going to do? No, right? It's going to search, right? That is the point of the button. The result is just that I hear the word button twice. And so this is an example of something that at Allyant, if we were auditing this website, we would call this a warning level issue. Yes, it's a conformance violation. Yes, you should fix it, but is it going to genuinely stop somebody from accessing or using the site? The answer is no, right? Happens a lot. This type of thing, really easy to find by an automated scanner. Automated scanners are really good at finding issues like this that maybe don't have the hugest practical impact on users with disabilities. So now let's look at an accessibility issue a bit more severe. So I'm going to make my way to the navigation menu here.
Main site navigation region.
Main site navigation region. You notice there's another kind of redundant label there. It said navigation twice.
Navigation menu,
So
navigation.
entering the navigation menu,
List of 8 items.
there are 8 items in here, list of 8 items.
Employment button menu collapsed.
Employment button menu collapsed. So the screen reader is telling me that this is the employment menu.
Residence button menu
There's
collapsed.
the residence menu.
Business button menu collapsed.
There's the business menu, and it's telling me they're menus. It's telling me that they're collapsed. So the implication is that if I expand one of these, I should then be able to access the options that are going to appear, right? So let's try that.
Residence button menu collapsed.
Residence, I'm a resident, so I'm going to trigger this.
Enter mt.gov-official state website.
So the screen reader made a kind of beep sound you may have heard, and that is the screen reader telling me it's entered forms mode. Not to get too in the weeds here, but just that I should be able to use the arrow keys to move the menu is basically what that is telling me. So I'm going to hit the arrow keys now, and I'm hitting the arrow key and nothing is happening. And so here we have an example of a navigation menu that's not actually accessible for users of screen reading software. When you go to attempt to expand the navigation menu, you actually end up in a bit of a keyboard trap here. And the only way to get out of it is if you're kind of a power user, you know that there are ways to force the screen reading software out of forms mode. But a typical user, especially somebody who's pretty new to using their screen reader, may not know how to go about doing that and effectively end up trapped when trying to expand this navigation menu. So I think this is just a good example of how wide the spectrum can be with accessibility issues, right? You see a button with a redundant label. Yes, it's a violation, but it's really a nuisance, right? Here you see a broken navigation menu. That is an accessibility violation that is incredibly severe, right? And so I think that's where the value of working with users with disabilities, folks like myself and our auditors here at Allyant, comes from the understanding of what the practical impact is of a violation. They're not all the same.